Hi, it's Sue. Thanks for joining me for today's Bible reading for March 2nd. Today I'll be reading Deuteronomy 8 through 10 from the World English Bible. But first, I want to read you a quote about the Bible from Timothy Alberino. This is from his book Birthright, which is, I think it has a very recent copyright, 2020. Copyright 2020, Tim Alberino, Birthright. And in here he talks a little bit about the Bible. It's just two short paragraphs. He says, in today's society, the Bible is generally regarded as an archaic book of Jewish fables with little little relevance to modern man. Christian celebrities have attempted to remedy this perception by renovating the text of Scripture for contemporary application, resulting in an endless slew of superficial self-help flummery. What so many fail to realize is that the Bible is not a collection of quaint bedtime stories, nor a guidebook for attaining your best life, but a coded communication to mankind from the Creator of the universe, preserved through and for all ages. The late Chuck Missler would often describe the 66 books of the Bible, penned by more than 40 different people over a period of several thousand years, as a highly integrated message system from an extraterrestrial source outside of time. Like a hologram, a facet of the message is encoded on every page that, when illuminated by the light of the Spirit, projects a multi-dimensional portrait of its divine author and communicates his plan to redeem, reconcile, and restore the sons and daughters of Adam to the glory of the original estate in the family of God. Then he prayed a little short prayer. He said, I pray that you will discover in the following pages a newfound fascination for the gospel of Christ, the greatest story ever told, and a renewed affection for Jesus of Nazareth, the greatest hero humanity has ever known. And that is my prayer for us as we read through the Bible every year. Deuteronomy 8, verse 1. You shall observe to do all the commandments which I command you today, that you may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers. You shall remember all the way which Yahweh your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness, that he might humble you, to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. He humbled you and allowed you to be hungry and fed you with manna, which you didn't know, neither did your fathers know, that he might teach you that man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that proceeds out of Yahweh's mouth. Your clothing didn't grow old on you, neither did your foot swell these 40 years. You shall consider in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so Yahweh your God disciplines you. You shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your God, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For Yahweh your God brings you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of springs, and underground water flowing into the valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, and figs and vines, and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land in which you shall eat bread without scarceness. You shall not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig copper. You shall eat and be full, and you shall bless Yahweh your God for the good land which he has given you. Now let me stop right there. It's so interesting because I just 5 minutes ago watched something about an artifact that was found it was in the Levant area, the Middle East. It was a clay vase with a copper tube, like a conduit type tube, and an iron post. And they believe it was an ancient battery power source. And right here we just read, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig copper. How about that? They use the copper and the iron to produce power, most likely, inside the piece of pottery. Amazing. Verse 10, you shall eat and be full, and you shall bless Yahweh your God for the good land which he has given you. Beware lest you forget Yahweh your God in not keeping his commandments and his ordinances and his statutes which I command you today. Lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built fine houses and lived in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart might be lifted up, and you forget Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, who led you through the great and terrible wilderness, with venomous snakes and scorpions and thirsty ground where there was no water. You know, that's what happened with America. America forgot the God who established her, got fat and happy, and stopped acknowledging him. Continuing here, I'll just start at the beginning of 15. Who led you through great and terrible wilderness with venomous snakes and scorpions and thirsty ground where there was no water, who poured water for you out of the rock of flint, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers didn't know, that he might humble you and that he might prove you to do you good at your latter end, unless you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand has gotten me this wealth. But you shall remember Yahweh your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he swore to your fathers, as it is today. It shall be, if you forget Yahweh your God and walk after other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you that you shall surely perish. As the nations that Yahweh makes to perish before you, so you shall perish because you wouldn't listen to Yahweh your God's voice. Hear, Israel, you are to pass over the Jordan today, to go in to dispossess nations greater and mightier than yourself, cities great and fortified up to the sky. Excuse me. A people great and tall, the sons of the Anakim, whom you know, and of whom you have heard say, who can stand before the sons of Anak? Know therefore today that Yahweh your God is he who goes over before you as a devouring fire. He will destroy them, he will bring them down before you. So you shall drive them out and make them perish quickly, as Yahweh has spoken to you. Don't say in your heart, after Yahweh your God has thrust them out from before you, saying, for my righteousness Yahweh has brought me in to possess the land. Because Yahweh drives them out before you because of the wickedness of these nations, not for your righteousness or for the uprightness of your heart do you go in to possess the land, but for the wickedness of these nations. Yahweh your God does drive them out from before you, and that he may establish the word which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Know therefore that Yahweh your God doesn't give you this good land to possess for your righteousness, for you are a stiff-necked people. Remember and don't forget how you provoked Yahweh your God to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that you left the land of Egypt until you came to this place. You have been rebellious against Yahweh. Also in Horeb you provoked Yahweh to wrath, and Yahweh was angry with you to destroy you. When I had gone up into the mountains to receive the stone tablets, even the tablets of the covenant which Yahweh made with you, then I stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water. Yahweh delivered to me the 2 stone tablets written with God's finger. On them were all the words which Yahweh spoke with you on the mountain out of the middle of the fire in the day of the assembly. It came to pass at the end of 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh gave me the 2 stone tablets, even the tablets of the covenant. Yahweh said to me, arise, get down quickly from here, for your people whom you brought out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have quickly turned aside of the way which I commanded them. They have made a molten image for themselves. Furthermore, Yahweh spoke to me, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Leave me alone, that I may destroy them and blot out their names from under the sky, and I will make you a nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mountain, and the mountain was burning with fire. The 2 tablets of the covenant were in my 2 hands. I looked, and behold, you had sinned against Yahweh your God. You had made yourselves a molten calf. You had turned aside quickly out of the way which Yahweh had commanded you. I took hold of the 2 tablets and threw them out of my 2 hands and broke them before your eyes. I fell down before Yahweh as at the first 40 days and 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water because of all your sin which you sinned in doing that which was evil in Yahweh's sight, to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure with which Yahweh was angry against you to destroy you. But Yahweh listened to me that time also. Yahweh was angry enough with Aaron to destroy him. I prayed for Aaron also at that time. I took your sin, the calf of which you made, and burned it with fire, and crushed it, grinding it very small until it was as fine as dust. I threw its dust into the brook that descended out of the mountain. At Taberah, and at Massa, and at Kibroth Hattava, you provoked Yahweh to wrath. When Yahweh sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and possess the land which I have given you, you rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh your God, and you didn't believe him, nor listen to his voice. You have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day that I knew you. So I fell down before Yahweh the 40 days and 40 nights that I felt. Wait. So I fell down before Yahweh the 40 days and 40 nights that I fell down, because Yahweh has said he would destroy you. I prayed to Yahweh and said, Lord Yahweh, don't destroy your people and your inheritance that you have redeemed through your greatness, that you have brought out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Don't look at the stubbornness of the people, nor their wickedness, nor at their sin, lest the land you brought us out from say, because Yahweh was not able to bring them into the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he has brought them out to kill them in the wilderness. Yet they are your people and your inheritance, which you brought out by your great power and by your outstretched arm. At that time Yahweh said to me, Cut 2 stone tablets like the first, and come up to me onto the mountain, and make an ark of wood. I will write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets which you broke, and you shall put them in the ark. So I made an ark of acacia wood and cut 2 stone tablets like the first, and went up onto the mountain, having the 2 tablets in my hand. He wrote on the tablets according to the first writing, the 10 commandments which Yahweh spoke to you on the mountain out of the middle of the fire in the day of the assembly. And Yahweh gave them to me. I turned and came down from the mountain and put the tablets in the ark which I had made. There they are, as Yahweh commanded me. The children of Israel traveled from Beeroth Bene Jaakan to Mazarah. There Aaron died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar, his son, ministered in the priest's office in his place. From there they traveled to Gudgodah, and from Gudgodah to Jotbathah, a land of brooks of water. At that time Yahweh set apart the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of Yahweh's covenant, to stand before Yahweh to minister to him, and to bless his name to this day. Therefore Levi has no portion nor inheritance with his brothers. Yahweh is his inheritance, according to Yahweh your God spoke to him. I stayed on the mountain as the first time 40 days and 40 nights, and Yahweh listened to me that time also. Yahweh would not destroy you. Yahweh said to me, Arise, take your journey before the people, and they shall go in and possess the land, which I swore to their fathers to give them. Now, Israel, what does Yahweh your God require of you, but to fear Yahweh your God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahweh with all your heart and with all your soul, to keep Yahweh's commandments and statutes, which I command you today for your God. Behold, to Yahweh your God belongs heaven and earth. No, it says, Behold, to Yahweh your God belongs heaven and the heavens of heavens. I need to say that one more time. Behold, to Yahweh your God belongs heaven, and the heaven of heavens, the earth with all that is therein. Only Yahweh had a delight in your fathers to love them, and he chose their offspring after them, and he chose their offspring after them, even you above all peoples as it is today. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. For Yahweh your God, he is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great God, the mighty, and the awesome, who doesn't respect persons, nor takes reward. He does execute justice for the fatherless and widow, and he loves the foreigner, in giving him food and clothing. Therefore love the foreigner, for you were foreigners in the land of Egypt. You shall fear Yahweh your God, you shall serve him, you shall cling to him, and you shall swear by his name. He is your praise, and he is your God, who has done for you these great and awesome things, which your eyes have seen. Your fathers went down into Egypt with 70 persons, and now Yahweh your God has made you as the stars of the sky for a multitude. That's it for today's reading. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Shalom, shalom.